Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Come on, sucker. Let's get it on.
Tim Black. Tim Black. Tim Black. Yes, I am. True. Funny. Tim Black. I am TimBlack.com. Tim Black. All right. How's everybody doing? How y'all feeling? You know, I gotta pretend I have an audience. Just makes you feel more like you're, in the moment. You can get that electricity going. Makes you feel a little bit more, willing to be a little bit more energetic. Which means you're willing to put on a little bit, Don't do it, Tim Black. And it's a lot of craziness. Can't be yourself. Don't be yourself. Got to reserve yourself. People watching you. Don't want to let down everybody that loves you, Tim Black. Some people never happy with you. So just be happy with yourself as best as you can. And welcome to the Tim Black at Night Show. Oh, wow. My people are here. They are in the house. They are awoke. They know what's up. They're in the house. And they are woke. My people on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, it's a pleasure having you here. Thank you for taking time out. I know there are a lot of other live streams going on. And thank you for choosing this one to spend some time with. The world is watching what's happening here in America. And we're going to get to some of it. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about some of it, y'all, because it must be talked about. Let's start off with Barcelona, because Barcelona is really, the people are really hurting. This latest attack has brought some backlash, I saw, from some reports, but what I wanted to talk about first is the terror attack in Barcelona that killed 13 people, injured 100 people. Eerily similar to something we just witnessed here in the States. And the moment I heard about it, I was like, okay, all right. Please, don't all be connected. Don't let it all be connected. I know some people, their minds start working overtime. I'm on the brink of that sometimes myself, just from the sheer amount of news, and you want to put together patterns. And I know there's some people who have to be saying that what happened in Charlottesville was a preamble to what they were going to pull off in Barcelona. Because nothing ever really happens. It never really rains. People never get shot unless you're in Chicago. And this is our government. A government that's so brazen that they will, what will they do, y'all? What will they do? They will let veterans die on the streets. It's not bold enough to just shoot people that they want to shoot. I don't know. But anyway, back to Barcelona. Barcelona, Spain, a van veered onto a promenade Thursday and burrowed down the busy walkway in central Barcelona, swerving back and forth as it mowed pedestrians down and turned a picturesque tourist destination into a bloody killing zone. 13 people were killed, 100 were injured, 15 seriously, in what authorities call a terror attack. That's a horrible thing. Horrible thing. I'm not gonna add more fuel to the fire of this, of trying to connect dots that I don't know, I can't confirm be connected, but I'll tell you this. When they say swerving, he was looking for more people to hit. Making sure he get get that one over there, don't want to leave anybody out. That's what he was swerving to do. And I understand a couple people have been captured, but none of the people captured were the drivers. So he had occupants in the van. Man, I'm going to run over about 100 113 people, at least. You want to ride with me? I mean, who gets in the van with a guy who's going to do something like that? So obviously, they're there for moral support as he does something so immoral that only someone who believes in some type of mutation of biblical nature, or, you know, in the U.S., typically when we have stuff like, not like this, but when we have death, I don't know, people do stuff for money a lot in the U.S. That's what makes a lot of us scummy. But yeah, this is horrible. This is what it is. That's why they call it terror, Tim. They don't call it terror because we, you know, because it's cotton candy and sunshine. It's because they're trying to kill people and terrorize you. Sort of similar to some things done in the, late 1800s, 1920s, 30s. Like, Tim, how all these black people end up in New York City? They got terrorized, man. They got terrorized. They had to leave their homes because they were scared they were going to get killed. So that's how they ended up in the cities. That's how they ended up from down south. Did you know more than 50% of black people, more than 50% of the people in the South were black? And now it's like 10 or something crazy. Yeah, that's why it wasn't, hey man, I'm going to go move to New York. I like New York. So terror is used as a blunt object to get what you want. In this case, in the United States, we use terror to move black people from where they had land in the South and kicked them off it, and they ran away because they were scared because the people kept getting lynched, and they ran to cities, the inner cities. That was the use of terror. What are they doing with the terror? What is the purpose of the terror in Barcelona? Because a lot of times people say, well, they just want to kill people. See, that's the type of, do they want to control people? Like, in this situation, they wanted to control people to push them out, to take their land and take their property. When is radical Islamics, whatever you want to call it, ISIS, whatever that is, what is their end game in these countries? Like, what do they really want? Terror for a reason, or just terror for terror's sake? Terror for terror's sake is just, you know, that's when someone needs to put you in a padded room. I don't know. But look, all I can say is terror for a purpose. At least then you can kind of wrap your head more around it. I know we make blanket statements about why we believe that terrorism exists and if this is actually terrorism. And I'm sure the people in the comment section know far more about Barcelona, know far more about Spain itself, know far more who are, you know, to add a lot of context to some suggestions or probabilities of what caused the violence there in Barcelona. But, you know, we all have opinions. I'll just say that obviously it's a horrible incident, and it's more than just an incident. It's almost a regular occurrence, and you just bounce across the globe and you're going to see a lot more stuff like this. Where it comes from, I think we need to look at more about what is actually the story in these countries where these actions happen. And I'm just used to terror. U.S. terror is just terror typically to control people. Power and money is somewhere associated with it. And the use of, you know, color, religion, any of that stuff, any of these other things is just a smokescreen. It gives you an excuse in order to rally people around the concept, when really at the underneath it all, it's just a desire to get paid, or desire to have power, or desire to control a group of people. So that's Barcelona. My condolences go to those affected, many people. I will avoid joining coalitions or correlations between this and Charleston, because I'm a decent person, and my name is not Don Lemon or one of these other people that would do that. I just won't. Can I have a cookie for having ethics? Give me a cookie for having ethics. I deserve something for having ethics in my video content creation. You'll notice that this video is entitled Cookies and Cream with Politics Nuts. And I did that because I was trying to throw off Google. Because see, Google has been demonetizing like all my stuff. And you know, it's kind of freeing and liberating to say, you know what, screw it all. I don't need money. You know, screw your money, Google. But you know, that'd be lying. Because I don't got it like that. But it is somewhat freeing in a way because you could just say, you know what, screw it, man. You know, I'm going to set up business ventures with brands who are, you know, big brands who don't mind advertising on this type of content. Who know I'm not talking about nothing more that's being talked about on CNN and MSNBC. It's just my tone of it. It just happened to be truthful and not paid for or influenced by the advertiser. Somebody bite. But, yeah. So anyway, if you didn't know, I got demonetized. So did Nico House. I didn't know my cousin, my little nephew, Nico. Nico got demonetized as well, as did a couple people, I think, Luke Kudowski. And it's just a horrible thing. So look, guys, join me on Patreon. Become a member. Go to Tim's Take Live on Patreon, or PayPal me Tim's Take 2 or Tim at TimBlackTV.com, and we'll just keep it going. We ain't never had a lot anyway. We ain't gonna jump out no building because I ain't got no money. Because I don't got no insurance. So if I jump out the building and I survive, then that's just more of a burden on my family. Nah, I got insurance. It's just not good insurance. But yeah, man, we're gonna get through. We're gonna get through now. Yeah, go ahead and pick yourself up. Come on now. Looking all down about this. We deal with hardship, struggles in our bones. We're used to it. Be all right. Resiliency. Marching forward into the wilderness. The elements, wild coyotes and army ants chewing at your ankles. You can do it. I don't even know where that came from, but yeah, we're going to tough it out. Give it up for that. Give it up for that. Solidarity, my brothers, solidarity. I am going to open up phone calls in a little bit, so just hang in there if you want to call in. I'm going to, you know, take a few calls before we close out the show. My next story is something that's going to make a lot of you smile. Wasserman Schultz, ex-IT aide, indicted on 4 counts. Booyah! Get that out of here. Get it out of here. I know you ain't going to bring that up in here. Oh, not in my house. Get that garbage out of here. That garbage up in here. You know who you dealing with? Shoot. This Wasserman Schultz, ex-IT aide, I heard that it's funny. While people, you know, are saying this story about Debbie Wasserman Schultz is, you know, it's a plot to destroy Debbie Wasserman Schultz, I always say, look, man, roosters come home roosting. They come home to get their roost on. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the roosters came home to get their roost on. You know, people seldom are totally obliterated reputation-wise by one lie, particularly when you have power. Now, you and I, we could be destroyed by one lie. People know that too. You know, they know it. You know, because we're regular people. We get destroyed by one lie. It'll really rock your world. But a politician can't be destroyed by one thing if it's a lie, even if it's true. Heck, it could be true. It won't destroy a politician. See, Debbie Wasserman Schultz had more than just that. She had a long string of horrible activities that were being covered up by the people, the great journalists of Florida, who didn't want to report on it, or when they did report on it, dumbed it down, watered it down, made her look well, made it look like she was just under attack. Same thing they use with Hillary at every turn. Everything is attack. Nothing is anything related to what Hillary does or what her team does. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz just had what we call a bad few seasons. Yeah, man, she had got caught cheating in elections, lost the DNC chair position, you know, got caught doing shady deals with Big Sugar that's destroying the environment in Florida, got caught, you know, supporting more fracking and taking prison lobbyist money, got caught, you know, taking away the amount of interest the payday lenders can charge regular people. She got caught having now finally this thing with Imran Awan with the IT guy that's dirty as hell, and they put the the little bank fraud thing they put on Debbie Wasserman, on Imran Awan was just to keep him in the country. Debbie made it seem like they really had nothing, so they just used that on him. But no, they had something. They were putting it together. They didn't think the guy was going to run, and then they found out he was running, so they had to hurry up and grab him up because he'd be gone. And Debbie wasn't going to go back and get him for him. So it just became time. This is just a series of things that have led us to the point where we are with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And we're not clapping because, we just want to destroy Democrats. No, that's not why. I wouldn't clap for that. It's because she's a bad Democrat. It's not about her being a Democrat. She's a bad politician. From everything I've seen, of course, I'm sure she walked an old lady across the street at one time. She held a door for a veteran. She took a picture with a black kid and read a book to him in a library at one point. I'm sure she's done something good in her life. All I'm saying is, it ain't been enough because she keep doing this horrible shit right here, and she got caught with her hand in the cookie jar on several occasions, and now she's irredeemable. And this thing with Imran Awan is just so big, it's just blowing up even bigger. It's only going to destroy her more, and she won't be able to duck Tim Conover in Florida this time and only hold him to doing one debate on a Sunday morning. It's just not going to happen. 4 counts for Imran Awan, and all of it is going to lead back to Debbie Wasserman Schultz. The indictment includes his wife, Hina, as well, Hina Alvi. Imran Awan, a former IT aide for Democratic Florida Rep. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, was indicted Thursday on 4 counts, including bank fraud and making false statements. The grand jury decision in U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia comes roughly a month after Awan was arrested at Dulles Airport, trying to board a plane to Pakistan. Did you know that Imran Awan in all of this is so horrible? So horrible and such a shame and embarrassment to his family that his own father had his name changed. Because he did not want to be associated with his son. That's deep. Yeah, okay, guys, you may, I know some of you have, less than optimal relationships with your parents. Some of you have some issues, hang-ups, misunderstandings that have carried on for years that have turned into bitterness regarding your fathers. And I'm sure if you peek enough through, if you take a deep enough look at it, and you can imagine, you can somehow find that there is a little bit of blame possibly on your side that you can own, and then use that as a catalyst to move forward in your relationships. And I'm sure there are things that he's done as well. But is a bigger person to keep that relationship alive or to rekindle it, because you only get one. Yeah, you may find a reason to say, okay, it wasn't the best son, and maybe there's something I can do to finally have a great relationship with my dad. And maybe, I believe most likely in 99% of the time, there's something you can do, son. But not if your name is Imran Awan, because Imran Awan, woo, when he did so horrible, I said, when he did so horrible, his own daddy changed his name. He said, you know what, I don't want nothing to do with that kid. I know he came for me. Accidents happen. I don't know what was in what I was drinking or smoking, or what his mama was drinking or smoking. That boy is bad news. I don't want to just move away from him. I said, I don't want to just move away from him. I want to take my name away from him. And since I can't do that, he won't change his damn name. I'm going to go ahead and change my name and just pretend I didn't have kids. Like I came through the world kidless. I left my mark other ways. I didn't do it through my seed. I did it through these women. or whatever, that means you messed up. Come on, guys. That means you effed up. That means you fucked up as a son. So, yeah. So, Imran Awan, give it up for that guy. It doesn't get any more, much worse than that, because it's about the worst. Oh God, everybody, how you doing? Once again, this is Timberlake TV. If you just tuned in, I'm running down a couple of stories and I'm gonna open phone lines. I'm feeling really great because I know I got great people out there. This show is brought to you by TimberlakeTV.com. News for people who can't stand the news, but told to you in a way that is entertaining as well as informative. The shirt of this week is cornbread. Don't let nobody take your cornbread. Go in the description box below and pick up that shirt and support independent media. And say, let's look at it as your way of saying, hey, I kind of like what the brother do. I wouldn't mind him doing this some more. Now, when I saw this right here, guys, I laughed. Oh, I laughed. It's like, ha! I did a Jimmy Dore laugh. Ah! Laugh at this story. I can't get that loud, Tim. Come on, man. Neo-Nazis. Neo-Nazis that, how many of you saw the Vice video with this guy, Christopher Cantel, who was showing his ass? You seen it? You guys seen it? Now he was acting very, tough guy. Oh, tough guy, huh? You the kind, you the kind of like to mix it up, huh? That's who you are, huh? That's how you roll, huh? Yeah, I bet you beat all these black people. Just beat them all to death with your bare hands, wouldn't you? Yeah, I bet you would. Oh, got a lot of firepower. You saw him flashing guns. Oh, man, I'm a shit. 16, 20, 35, 62. Hit him, who, huh? Throwing stuff on the bed. Talking about the death of Heather Heyer, we got one. We didn't kill anybody who didn't deserve to be killed. Talking just like horrible, horrific, and just like he had the world's biggest nuts, and he just threw them on the bed like bam, gosh, and the room went dark. And they had to put his testicle outside the door to continue the rest of the conversation. I'm telling you, Christopher Cantwell was on Vice showing all of his neo-Nazi ass just... You got that? You got that, little lady? Oh, you got that, huh? Just showing it. When I watched that video, I had respect for him. Sure, I thought he was a piece of human waste with the ability to walk and speak. But I respected him. I respected him as being a hardcore neo-Nazi piece of shit. And hey, that's something. At least he's standing for something, man. In this world of flimsy-spined, rubbery-spined bastards who turn on each other at every bend and turn. Even before there's a turn, they jump off the bike and shoot you in the back and then run and say you are bad, and they just destroy one another. But in this world of no ethics, just people who, I got you. Oh, I ain't got you. I thought you said you had me. I ain't got you. Ah, fuck you. Sorry, man. Had to take care of yourself. That I had some respect. Don't get me wrong, I hated him. I didn't like him. But I felt like the man knew who he was. Like Scaramucci. Scaramucci doesn't give a crap. I don't like Scaramucci, but I like he doesn't care if I like him or not. And I like that he's who he is. He's unapologetic. He wasn't trying to kiss butt. He wasn't trying to clear it up. That's what you admire in anyone. It's not that, it's not the person. It's that they have this, they don't care. They just do not care. Now, so when I saw the follow-up to this man, this neo-Nazi, who was so gutsy, so outgoing, so flamboyant with his fashion, I just couldn't believe it. This same Nazi was crying in the video, literally crying in the video because he may have to go where the bad people are. He doesn't understand he's one of them. He's probably more deserving of jail than at least 60% of people in jail, because 60% of people in jail aren't even in jail for violent offenses. But this same jackass, neo-Nazi jackass, who makes a living by spewing that hate garbage on some radio show, that's how he makes his money. He's in the business of doing something similar to what I'm doing, is now crying because, well, he may have a warrant out for his arrest. And this inspired me to do a tweet on the guy, because I couldn't believe it. I'm like, hey, man. Oh, Chris Cantwell. Chris Cantwell crying for over a warrant, something to that point. Gosh, man. What's wrong? Sounds like Cantwell can't jail. Come on, man. What kind of white nationalist is this if you scared to go to jail? White nationalists eat years in jail like M&Ms. You know? That's what they do. This guy is a betrayer. He should be ashamed of himself. He's a sad excuse for a white nationalist, a sad excuse for a neo-Nazi, and maybe, just maybe, he was BSing the whole time. Maybe this is really who he is. He's a coward. Oh, I know I talked about killing all the mud people, but my cousin's a mud person and I love him. All that stuff I said wasn't true. He started bringing out his black friends. He got an Asian friend, black friend, a Jewish cousin, a Jewish friend. Come on, guys. Show him. See? Because he really is not who he says he is. You know? And see, when we had these conversations about these neo-Nazis, when we first talk about alt-right, like, I don't think we ever really defined it, really what it was. And I think that a lot of people spend a lot of time online, on online culture. We saw, at least I did, I saw a lot of people who I thought they were just really, they just hated the Democratic Party, and they saw this new thing coming up, and some people just kind of jumped in it. And I feel people like this guy, Chris Cantwell, I think they're more along that ilk, who just see an opportunity to be a part of something and kind of get in front of it like a marketing play. Like, I never thought Cernovich, and I don't even know this guy, but that's my impression of him. I really don't know much about either one of them. But that's what I kind of saw it as, just something people identify with without having a clear conception of what it is. And I think people like Chris Cantwell are really not built for this. Because, like I said, I think it's all a joke. And look, maybe he'll be offended and he'll go in there, he'll be like, come get me. And I'm gonna get Tim Black too for talking mess, because I'm bad, man. You know? Maybe he'll, make a turn and, and be the real Aryan Brotherhood bastard he says he is. I don't know. But you have to see the video. Just me telling you about it really doesn't do as much justice as it should be given. I called it the tearful Cantwell seen in this video contrasts starkly with the brash, angry person he displayed on Vice News. He's like, when you cry and you rub it so people know you did it, because they know you can't see it because they got a low-resolution piece of crap camera or a phone and it won't show the tear. He did one of those moves. He wanted you to feel sorry for him. His voice even cracked, like, got one of them in there. They want to lock me up. Yeah, he hit him with one of those. He ain't one of those out there. You know? Please. And I'm going to tell you, when I first saw it, after I laughed a lot, first thing I thought was like, wow, you know what? He reminds me of this white woman I know who used to be a do that on Q. So a lot of white guys are pissed off, man. Some white guys are pissed off because they got with a woman who's like in the movies, the evil white women. And they seem all loving and caring. And then you do something they don't like and they get calculating like that. Calculating cold. They beat themselves with something. Then call the police. You know? You're like, what the fuck? I just want to go out and drink beers with the guys, that's all. She's just, I didn't want to be the only one. You know? And I just thought like, wow, man, I didn't know white guys were so good at that. I'm like, I know that white women are good at it. Sisters not so, you know, some of them. Some of them are good at it too. But I didn't know white guys could do that so well. Like, be a badass. Be like, you know, like McGregor, right? You know, like Ewan McGregor, be a badass. And then, like, because the situation suits him, be like, I don't know, Clay Aiken. Not even Clay Aiken. Who? I don't even know. You go from Ewan McGregor to, nah. Clay's just gay, but he be talking shit. I think Clay would kick your ass. Then I gotta get somebody weak. You know, I don't even think of somebody like I don't know, man. It's just a lot of transformation from Ewan McGregor to I don't know. God, I don't know any really weak. What's a really weak white dude? But that's amazing that you're able to transform yourself in record time. Like, do it like on the money. I just thought it was hilarious. And I'm wondering, are there neo-Nazis watching this from prison? Like, our brother, you know, our brother. Blood and soil. You know, and then when he was talking first about killing people and how they had a great day and they hope to do just as good later, hope they do even better. And great riot we had, you know, and then when there's a chance his butt might go to jail, he's all punkish. I wonder how those Aryan brothers are feeling now when they watch that. Like, oh, okay. I just think it's probably not a good situation for Mr. Cantwell. Cantwell can't jail. He can't jail. Well, guys, this show is brought to you by Tim Black TV. TimBlackTV.com. Become a member. Support independent media. Heck, support people that you believe bring you the news straight. Man, these monuments, man. And this isn't really about monuments. This is about craziness, man. It's crazy. You know? I was watching Van Jones. You know, I was watching Van Jones. I wasn't watching him. Not like I'm hanging out looking for Van Jones. That's not what I mean. I wasn't even watching him. I saw a clip of him, you know, crying. What is this, Cry Week? And I understand why he was crying, though. I get it. It seems for some reason, all across America, you know, black people are realizing that some white people don't like them. You know, like all of a sudden, I don't know if you heard it, we got some racists. Oh, yeah. I was shocked as you. I was like, what you talking about? Racism. You know, what is that? Racism. Gosh, I had to look it up. Had no idea what it was, but all of a sudden, over the last week or so, after what happened in Charlottesville, all these people, including Van Jones, have come to the realization that some people are bigoted. That's why it just like makes me laugh my ass off. Like all of it is just making me laugh. And I know some of you are getting tired. Like, oh God, Tim Black, please, man, please, please, please. You want to move past it, but see, I laugh at it. And you gotta, look, you can't just move past this. You gotta acknowledge it for what it is. They are using this, they're just using it for viewership. They're using it, you know, to distract everybody to this. Come on, man. Van Jones up here crying about racism. He 40-something. He almost 50. That mean, you know how long he's been living with racism? Now, if you're 20 and you just came out your mama house, bloop, out into the world, wow, let me get to know the world. You know, and you don't know nothing, and then you're hit with it, get off my grass, nigga. Then I get it. It's like, oh my God, what? You know? Or maybe, you know, maybe if you know, were in a spaceship, you were an alien from another planet, and for some reason, when the master aliens were helping create you or whatever, you pick what color to be, you chose to be black. Because you thought it was cool. They had a cool hair texture or something. You know? See, most black people look good with bald heads, and you like shaving your hair, so you decided to go with that. And when they delivered you, they sent your pod down to the planet, you landed on it, you were a black man, and you didn't, you know, and you just, you know, you're here to explore the world, and you're looking around, and you're walking through the streets of D.C. or whatever, and some Asian person says, buy, hurry up and buy, or something. And then you walk across the street, you can't get a cab or something from the Muslim dude, and you start realizing that there is racism. You don't even understand the concept because you are really like a frog-like creature. There is no, there may be a little bit of ribbitism or, you know, lily padism, who get the best lily pads on the planet you from, but you don't know nothing about racism. So it's all a new concept to you. And then I could understand if you were to be interviewed or hell, be a commentator on a network, a contributor to CNN like Van Jones, and then I could get it. Then I get it. You know, if you were that frog person that glances playing, yeah, I get it. They put you on the news and they show you Charlottesville, and you only been here a week, and you're learning the customs of humans have a lot to do with, you know, racism and how we interact is embedded racism, particularly in the United States, because that's the only country you've been at, and you're going to go to others and find out. But if you are not just out your mama's house, and if you are not an alien from a frog-like species that accidentally chose to be black and was dropped on this planet, and you only been here a week, and then Charlottesville happened, if you are not of that, then you got no damn business, especially if your name is Van Jones, and you are almost 50 years old, and you are a contributor on CNN. Can you get up on TV, act like racism just popped up, that KKK just started showing its ass, that Nazism, neo-Nazis ain't been there, and that we ain't been terrorized by these types of people for the last 400, 300 years, man. How dare you? And how dare people who sit on their asses in their homes, on their plush couches, with their 2.5 children and a pet, a small pet, how dare those people buy it? Where are you at not to know that Van Jones is on some BS? How are you not calling this out yourself? You definitely don't need Tim Black to do it. You have to know because you live in here. You live in America. You know what it is. Look, man, America, racism has always been, to black people, has always been like a mugger in the night. You know, a mugger in the night with a big gun. And we at the ATM of life and hope and dreams. And we're trying to get our ATM hope and dreams out of the ATM that's owned by these white institutions. And racism is always the thing that comes up in the middle of the night with a gun behind us. Puts it in the rib, your kidney area. It says, and you feel the steel pressed against your back. It's like, you're like, what? What? And racism looks at you and says, you know what it is. Now, that's from experience. You know what it is. It's racism. You know, Van Jones is acting like he ain't been here. Like he hasn't been here. Dang, that sounds bad. He's acting like he has not been here. And what I'm saying is, yeah, maybe some other people, if you were at that ATM and you felt the steel on your back, and you'd be like, what's going on? They say, well, you know what it is. You'd be like, you'll sincerely be like, no, I don't know what this is. What is this? Are you trying to pick me up? You trying to hit on me? You know? Then he hit you in the head with the gun, take the money, knock you out. But I'm saying, Van Jones, this is horrible. I think it is. I think it's all the man's crying on cue. He's doing the same thing that Cantwell did. Can't jail. Christopher Can't jail. He did the same thing he did. He's crying on cue for a purpose. Now, what is that purpose? What is it all about? Why does it exist? What do they want from you and I? They want us fixated on this. They want to deepen the divides on this crap. It has to be. I mean, come on. I'm convinced of it. Why else do this? Why try to make sense and create the worst case scenario for why Trump did anything? I said it was a bad move. Like I said before, I'm not going to go back over the whole thing. I got a whole video on it. I did it yesterday. Please go back and watch my archives. But come on, man. And I know he did this yesterday. It's another day. You know, but the CNN commentator said that by defending white nationalist protesters, the president failed to defend a large swath of Americans. He cited his Jewish godmother, saying it's sad that she can't come to the television and see the president of the United States show any sympathy for her. He's abandoning people who now don't know if they have a government that gives a damn about them. That's the part I thought was hilarious. If there's anyone who believes the government gives a damn about you, what is wrong with you? I'm trying to figure out what reality you live in, man. Nobody's thinking about you. They think you a number. You know, you are a number. You know how many yous there are? Oh, come on. I know we're all individuals, you know. We're all precious snowflakes or whatever. You know, oh, you so special. But you're just a person. It's a lot of persons. Your mother and your friends, you know, are the people that care about you or whatever, your family, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But realistically speaking, the government don't care about individuals. They care about money. Now, you may have some social capital if you have money and power and influence, and if you do not, well, oh, come on, man. Please, just keep it moving. We got to get to the real people that are important. And that's how it should be viewed, I mean. That's how it should be viewed. Like, you should not be viewing yourself as, like, because they're not. And if you think that, and if you get emotionally hurt about Trump, why am I even giving relevancy to Van Jones' statement? There are actual humans walking around whose parents survived Nazi concentration camps, actually going, I was feeling good. I thought America loved me. Thought they all loved me. And now this Trump has come along, and now he's making me feel that they don't. For shame, I'm the clipped. You know? I don't think so. I just don't. And I think Van Jones is lying about his godmother. And it's wrong to lie on a godmother, especially if you have a Jewish godmother through the marriage of your wife or whatever. That's wrong still. It's all wrong. And y'all getting all, you know, a day earlier he was crying about the black side, so it was a Jewish time. Now we got to give the Jews some love. We gave the black people some love. Gotta give the Jews some love. All that stuff. Anyway, give it up for Van Jones. Crying. Hey, look, I'm not totally convinced that Van Jones wasn't crying about this situation for any other reason than he needed a good news cycle himself, you know, because you remember when he was dumb enough to say the right thing about Trump in that speech, that he kind of connected with people and became more like a president, or he was presidential in that moment during that speech, and they came for him, like all his friends was like, They was all stabbing him. He's like, oh, shit, oh, God, you too, you know, even Angela Yee or whatever, Lisa Ray, whatever her name is, she stabbed him. He's like, I thought we was friends. Like all his friends were getting him. He even came out trying to do his show, and they were throwing stuff. Look, everybody, look. You know how I am. Whoa, phew, hey, come on, baby. You know how I am. You know I get emotional. I start. You know me. I get upset. I just live it all on my sleeve. Oh shit. Oh, pew. Oh shit. Was that a motherfucker trying to shoot me? And he's running around on his own show. He was watching all his white friends, all his white money disappear. Then he remembered he ain't really stood up on any black issues. He's like, I better get these white people back. My name ain't Tim Black. I'm not willing to lose viewers by standing up for black causes. But it's all great, guys. It's all a bunch of BS, I believe, guys. I think it's all a bunch of BS, and it's just a distraction at this point. Like I said, go see the Monument video. Monument show is what it turned into. And I think a white nationalist who talks a lot of crap, like, you know, about killing people and murder and death, and then finds out he may have a warrant that he might have to sit in jail for a couple days or so. Like, he freaks out and cries. Hey, look, man, we got to get us some better, come on, man, some better standards. I need to check with the White Nationalist Bureau of hooded white devil Aryans or whatever, and just find out what their process is. I think we need to get to the bottom of, are they vetting their neo-Nazis? That's the real question here. Are you vetting them? We need to do a white glove approach and just make sure that they're following all the steps in the neo-Nazi recruitment effort. Because I think they let some people infiltrate who aren't really neo-Nazis or any of that. They're just guys who want to make some money. Sleep with a few women who are into that type of thing. And get good ratings on their radio show. That's what I think. That's what I blame. Gotta have an image, man. John Wayne image, bro. Get out of here. Get out of here. Oh, come on. What? I know there's people watching. I don't even know who the hell John Wayne was. I got a couple people hanging out. I'd like to hear what they have to think or have to say about any of this stuff. The phone number is 319-527. Is that right? Yeah. Wow. 6212, guys. Give me a call. I got a couple people in queue. And let's see who's on the line. 770, you're live. Who's this?
Tim Black.
Yo.
What's going on, man? This is Dave from Stone Mountain.
Dave in the house, man. Good to have you, Dave. I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm okay. Watching Nazis cry on the internet, it's a beautiful day. I just called because, you know, I'm from Georgia, right?
Yes.
And in case everybody doesn't remember, we had an issue about having a Confederate flag as our state flag. And, I mean, this debate went on for years, you know? I mean, you had people saying it's history, and you had others saying it's a racist symbol. I mean, we're talking about decades. This fight went on and on and on, and it was just back and forth, right? Well, it seems to me that if I was black and I drove through Atlanta and I saw a symbol from a state that fought to keep me a slave every time I walked out of the house, that might bother me. And it's just ridiculous that the people are trying to fight to keep these statues up now. I mean, I have experience. I watched this same fight go on in Georgia for decades. And, I mean, I'm in Stone Mountain. There are Confederates, you know, there are Confederate soldiers on horses carved on a big mountain like a mile from my house. And it's just ridiculous, man. I mean, you know, Abe Lincoln was no angel. He said if he could win the war against the South without slaves, he would have done it. But what he wasn't was stupid, and the South was. They were so against slaves being free, and it wasn't the only issue, Tim. There were a lot of issues going on. But now, 200 years later, we should be intelligent and know slavery was the main issue, regardless of what the morons 200 years ago thought. They were still figuring out the earth was round, you know. But the deal is that the South sat down. General Lee and all those people, the greatest minds and the greatest generals, sat down in a room, Tim Black. You hear me?
I hear you, brother.
They sat down in a room and made the decision, we are going to murder American citizens because we think we should be able to tell black people to do whatever the hell we want. They sat down in a room and made that decision. And Abe Lincoln in the North sat down in a room and had the same conversation and said, you know what? If we join with black people, even if we don't like them, he was intelligent enough to know together they would be stronger and they would win. And he was right. Together, blacks and whites were a stronger unit, and they won. And rightfully so. So it's just my opinion, Tim, that if General Lee wanted a monument where we honored him, when he sat down in that room and made the decision to make black people slaves, he made the wrong fucking decision. He earned what's happening to him by making bad decisions in his life. It's just ridiculous. I mean, does this make sense to you, man? You tell me.
Yeah, no, I hear you all the way, brother. I think people, they need to hear a different point of view from you. But yeah, I agree with you.
But and the point, and to end it, I mean, it's just, we had this same conversation in Georgia. And you know how many people argue over the Georgia flag now? Nobody. It's not an issue. Nobody talks about it because it wasn't fucking that important to begin with. It was just a goddamn flag. A flag's purpose is to stand for something beautiful and unite everyone that's under it. That's what a flag's supposed to do. I mean, you go to a ballpark, Tim. They have the Atlanta Braves flag up there, and we're all supposed to be proud and united for our team. That's the purpose of a flag.
Right.
And it's clear that none of these statues, and the statues are the same thing. You don't make a statue of something just to remember history. You put a monument up in front of the state capitol to honor someone who deserves it. And anybody who makes a decision, we are going to have slaves. Nothing else that ever happened. I mean, none of the other issues involving the Civil War matter. That's the issue that matters, is that we were stronger together. That's it. That was the right choice. That was the morally and the intelligently correct decision that Abe made, regardless if he wanted to or liked black people or not. He was still more intelligent than the South. He knew we were stronger together. So, as a Georgian, I just want to tell people there is no issue over our Confederate flag because we don't have one. Now there's not a reminder. Every time black people drive up the street and see our flag, you were a slave, you were a slave. Hell, I wouldn't want to see that shit either if I was black. So that's it. I'm going to end it right there, Tim. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, you killed it, man. Thank you so much, Dave, from Stone Mountain. I appreciate you. I don't know. It's sort of like I went on this rant yesterday, and I'm like, okay, I can see where some people who don't even get into the history of the Confederacy, I can see how they can relate to rebels. Feeling like, we're going to fight against the system. And they look at it from that aspect of these people who fought this fight without trying to bring in any morality into it, who just said, we'd rather die fighting. That type of thing, So I don't agree with it at all, but I can be intellectually honest enough and not to say, devil, mean, horrible person, let me try to understand what this person's saying. And of course, that's not everybody, because some people are saying, yeah, we hate these people, we hate those people. But it's always interesting to me when other people don't display a level of trying to see something through someone else's eyes. And when Dave talks about, hey, if I was black, I wouldn't want to see a flag every day that reminds me that I was a slave or my people were slaves, and especially in a country that doesn't respect that. Like, instead of saying, hey, all these big companies, some of which are still around, who own people and made it so they couldn't, like, build their own wealth, you know, they say, well, you know, you need to get over that. It's not like you're respected for. It's not like, yeah, these people, all that was done, all that they lived and died and were buried in mass graves and humiliated and all this stuff, and they built this country. Let's respect them. No. They built this country for free. Let's respect them. You say something else, of course those people wouldn't want to see that damn flag. It'd be different if they were respected because of it. And we look back and say, you know what, black people, they were used in this improper, inhumane way, but now let's give them some love for this. Let's respect what they did. Let's respect what their parents went through. Instead, it's sort of like, don't bring that shit up, man. Oh, no, there it goes again. So thank you, Dave. I appreciate you, man. 410. 410, you're live.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, how you doing?
Tim.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, this is Ron McMillan.
Hey, Ron,
Uncle
what's up,
Ron.
my brother? How you doing, Ron? Uncle Ron in the house.
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. I sent you an email about Sunday, down the 19th, down in D.C. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but there is there's going to be a march there across from the White House for ending the 13th Amendment as it presently, in its present form, of that type of slavery for incarceration.
Wow.
I think that the other thing that I really wanted to talk to address was, there's something that I think that we all have kind of gotten way too complicated. When we start talking about neo-Nazis and we start talking about white supremacists and we start talking about alt-right and all this stuff, they all have one thing in common, and that is they're bigots, they're racists. And trying to make it all complicated in different groups, I think, just gets people all upset. And I saw it in the chat room the last couple of days. But one thing that's really simple to remember is that of all the countries in the world who've had a civil war, I would probably think that the United States is the only one that had a civil war over slavery, as opposed to the oligarchy. The French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, so on and so on and so on. Those were all about overthrowing the oligarchs and changing the economics. Here, it was about how we're going to make our money with some free labor. And that's strictly a racist thing. But I'm not surprised about Trump this past week. And I guess the last thing that I'd like to say is that, you know, I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, and this is nowhere near that as far as the animosity and, you know, Ferguson lights up here and there, but, you know, we haven't seen a Detroit or Watts, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, the Bronx, all burning it simultaneously. We're not seeing that now, like as we did in '68. But you brought up something very important the other day, and that is the blame for Charlottesville goes to the governor and it goes to the mayor, because they allowed these two competing factions to be together. And that is senseless. That is senseless. And people got played, and a woman lost her life, and 2 policemen lost their lives. That dumbass 20-year-old is going to be in jail now for riding his car and murdering somebody.
Absolutely.
A 20-year-old stupid young kid got caught up in a whole lot of crap, and look what he has done. And you know, I have been in those situations when growing up, I've been humiliated. I've had to keep my mouth shut, you know, racially, in racial situations, and so on, until I was old enough to be able to figure things out for myself. You never fight fire with fire when it comes to race. You don't. You don't. It's not going to end up at all well for the minority. It's not. And I don't mean cut and run. I mean, you have to do something different. You have to do something different. If it had been me organizing something in opposition to those few people that came across the country that worry about a damn statue, I'd have been down the street having a great big party with all different types of people, and let those people go up there, and they never would have had the attention brought to them. They never would have had the attention brought to them because nobody would have even known they were there.
Wow.
I'm out.
Wow, man. What an idea, Uncle Ron. I appreciate it, man. Of course I'm going to check that email, brother. You know I'm local. Man, I appreciate it, man. You're right. It's been a lot going on the last couple of days, man. But thanks for the emails that you do send, and I will follow up with you on Sunday. See what we got going on. Yeah. Oh, Ron, I also want to add to Ron's point when he brings up that, you know, the mayor and the culpability of Terry McAuliffe as the governor. I also want to bring up that they tried to have the venue moved. And there was a judge, Ron, that turned it down. They wanted the venue moved because they felt that it was too small. Like, you notice the streets were small. So they wanted to move the venue to another location would be easier to police it and to keep people more separate. And that the judge struck it down. How you like that? So it wasn't just Terry McAuliffe, it wasn't just the governor, though I believe they may have been able to have some weight in dealing with this behind closed doors. I mean, come on, guys. Mayors and governors have abilities to make phone calls. But from my understanding, right, there was an opportunity where they tried to get this done. They wanted to move it to a wider space so that people would be less packed in there. And for some reason, the judge declined that. It wasn't to stop the rallies, but just to move it to a place, a location, which would have been able to be policed more effectively. People would be more safe, and they didn't want that. So anyway, thank you, Ron, for that call. I appreciate you, man. 562. You're live. How you doing?
Good evening, Tim Black. I'm all right, I guess. This is Marvin from California.
Sir. Yeah.
I honestly have to say that your monologue kind of cheered me up. I haven't been well really this week. I would have to say that, I mean, and I wouldn't be lying. That's what I meant to say. I wouldn't be lying if the stuff that happened in Charlottesville just added on to the weight that was already on me, because it has. But your monologue really hit it off the park, and it cheered me up. It's a trip, you know. I as I said, I'm from California, and it's like, you know, people get caught up on this thing that, you know, racism is the South. Well, you know, I'm black. I live in California, so I experience where I'm at. I got family that's on my mom's side that hails from Louisiana, Mississippi. They live in Michigan now. They had to roll out because of the Klan. My grandfather, as the story is told, was going to get in a fight with a white man, and white man threatened to kill him and his family. I believe my granddad would have threw down. But hey, you got family, and they rolled up to Michigan. You know, he was able to get a job up there, the factories, and that's bringing up the factories thing. People seem to think that the great migration, quote unquote, of black folks in this country from the South to the North and to out West was simply a jobs thing. No, it wasn't. Black people was escaping terrorism. And as far as the North is concerned, it only, you know, it helped out the case for black people moving up there because there was lots of jobs. And these factories and corporations at that time needed the manpower. They didn't care who. Just, can you do it? Well, no, but if you show me, I will. Okay, you're hired. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? These people was able to go up there to these factories, make a living, provide for their families and stuff. And so it's not just a South thing. This, like I said, I'm from California. So California, you know, is the big liberal state, but we got our own share of crazy racist shit that has been for the longest, as California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, borders Mexico. So you know that's a thing where, Southern California used to be part of Mexico. So California's racism, yes, the blacks got their heads cracked. Mexicans got their heads cracked too. The Japanese was rounded up and put into concentration camps. The Chinese had it hard when they basically almost slave labor when they was building the Transcontinental Railroad. So come on now. The United States was built on racism. It's not a South thing. It's a built up from inception. That's all I got to say. Tim, peace.
Man, you killed it, man. Thank you so much for that call. It was something I was having this conversation earlier today with somebody. Yeah, it's a miseducation, and what's also happening is we have a lot of people online on these online, you know, shows and channels, and they're minimizing and they're labeling. They're saying if you're a white person and you are told the truth about your history, about America, nothing you did, but something, yes, you are benefiting from. Not that you're going, hey, I want to benefit from pain and suffering. No. But what they're doing is that feeling that you're feeling, you should feel. I wish it wasn't guilt, right? But like awakening to the reality of this place and what we've done. And you're no longer, you know, sleepwalking in this make-believe world that doesn't exist except on movies. That's all. But they're making it seem as if for you to know these things is bad for you, and you will have white guilt, and they're trying to guilt the white people, and it's anti-white. It's not anti-white. It's that America was anti-black. And it still is. Like, you know, so, but it's just sad. But thank you, Marvin, for breaking it down. And that's not everybody. It doesn't have to be your intention. It's like not my intention. At this point, racism is so baked into the United States, man, in so many ways, dude. We gotta, you know, it's almost like that's the ingredient of the cake. We gotta bake a new cake. And since we can't just bake a new cake, right, that means we got to do things to mitigate it. We just can't just be like, all right, sometimes you got a little slavery in your cake. Sometimes you got a little this in your cake. Nah, man, we got to do something about it. You know, at least give me a side of a little thing of ice cream. You know, a little ice cream to go with the cake. Come on, man. I had the worst piece of cake. It was the worst cake. Can I get a little ice cream? No. You know, give me some ice cream. That's all. All right. Thank you, Mom, for the phone call, man. I appreciate you. 205, you're in the house.
Hey, Tim. It's Steph from Tennessee.
Hey, Steph. How are you?
Can you hear me okay?
Yep. You good.
All right. After last, I just wanted to check. So is the topic tonight about Charlottesville? Because I went and I got a sandwich and I came back. So I have some things I'd want to talk about, but I don't want to go off topic.
Yeah, we were talking about Charlottesville. We're talking about Van Jones and Christopher Cantwell as well.
Okay. I'm getting over a cold, so if I sniffle a little bit, I'm sorry. And that's why I haven't sent you the video thing I told you about earlier, too. But, so yeah, some things that I noticed that I thought it might be good to tell other people in case they don't already know. Some people might have already seen this, too, but just to make sure the word gets around is that the video that I did hear the part where you're talking about how funny it was, the crying Nazi guy. I'd watched that like several times and just kept laughing and like playing it back and playing it again because I thought it was so funny about how he's like so scared of Chelsea Manning after all that tough talk and like, you know, pulling back his Glock and thinking he's in a Hollywood movie, like taking LARP too far. Like, yeah, man, I don't know, like. It was weird because it was like, you know, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons and I'm like, what would have happened to him if he had like a different outlet, or did he have that outlet and decide to take it a step further? Like, you know, like it's like, do people get like this because they don't have an outlet, they don't find a hobby that they like, they don't have a talent, or, you know, like, is it just like they have the talent and they're just, you know, I don't know, like, you know, like it's like they just get obsessive. Like, it's like, I feel like there's some part in the brain, and people keep telling me, like, you know, like, Nazis aren't mentally ill, you know, like, that's making fun of the mentally ill. And it's like, well, there's lots of mental illnesses. So I'm not, you know, I've got anxiety problems myself. I'm not going to go into great detail about it because it's not something to be like, I'm the bigger victim, but, like, you know, like, the mental health thing, as I can understand it, is sometimes it can be really bad and sometimes it can be mild, and it's just something that you deal with. But it's like there's something with these people that's like that go and join the cults in general, where it's like they tend to have like some sort of higher tendency for obsession, because I'll get little obsessions and it's really hard to get my mind off of it. And it's like, I got to draw so many pictures today, or I've got to look up all the information on the multiverse because I'm interested in that right now, or black holes, or, you know, like, you know, it's like, for me, it's like, I could never be a physicist, but I have a fascination with the cosmos. But, it, you know, like, they get really obsessed with something that screams to me like insecurity and possibly mental health issues with that insecurity. Like, they're constantly afraid. Like, when he broke down, you saw just how afraid he actually was. But concerning that, apparently someone's passing around a thing that I don't think has circulated enough yet, because there's a lot of people who don't want it to circulate, is that it is part of this, like, manual or handbook for fascists or whatever that they're passing around to try to recruit people for him to, like, play the victim. He was probably actually upset because the cops are after him or whatever, but he was saying that he did everything legally and everything correctly, but there are several things he did incorrectly, including he did not get all his permits. He was issuing death threats. He was going around punching people and stuff, so he was assaulting people. So, you know, what he said on there was to try to get other insecure white guys who could relate to him, who have felt victimized in the past by people, like, not listening to them because everybody says, oh, white guys have privilege, you know, like, so they tend, you know, when something bad happens to them, even though it happens to them less, they feel like nobody will listen to them or empathize with them. So, like, someone like that, with this recruitment thing that they're doing, is they're trying to use it to, like, get more vulnerable people who are looking for a group to be with. And so they were saying, like, don't pass this video around without explaining to people that he's lying in that video. He did not do everything legally for that protest. So that's just what I wanted to inform everybody about tonight.
Wow. Wow, Steph, I appreciate you, man. Yeah, it's like when we start, it's like every time we start, when you call us stuff, it's like we starting over again. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. I think you sense it as I do. But every time you call up, you always drop a bomb. It's always a great point. And even think about that. You know, someone told me those tactics that you're talking about. Someone told me like a few months ago, they was telling me about those tactics. I was like, wow, like they got a game plan book? It's a strategy book to manipulation. Yeah. Damn good points. Let me move on to the next call. Thanks for your patience, 412.
Hey, it's Uli.
Hey, Uli, how you doing, sis?
I'm all right, you know. But yeah, I was just I'm still digesting what Steph just said, and of course that's true. There is a manual for manipulation, and we're all part of it too, aren't we? I mean, we're all getting manipulated in so many ways. I've been meaning to call in, but there's so much going on. I thought, man, if I call in, I'm going to get from one rant into another. You don't even know where to begin, and you don't even know where to end. You know, so yeah, we're all being manipulated. The fire is burning on all ends, and then here comes the mass media and holds up little candles, and that's what we're focused on, while everything else around us is ablaze, you know. So we're all being manipulated, and these neo-Nazis, you know, they're falling into one thing, and then you have people, I don't know, joining some church or some political party, whatever, you know. There's a little niche for every obsession. So there's that. And lately, there's one thing that's really, really getting on my nerves, really grinding on my nerves, is everybody has a comparison, you know. Nobody says, this is it, this is August 2017. Everybody's like, oh, this is like when this happened in such and such, and this is what so-and-so said back in 1918, whatever. And some of the comparisons, actually, none of them really stick. None of them stick. The rhetoric people blurt out in comment threads and in voice is unreal. They don't have their timeline straight. They don't have their people straight. They don't have their politics straight. The only thing that stands the test of comparison is it's the same people playing the same games, and we are being played the same way. That's the only thing that all these events have in common. What do you know about World War II? How much have you studied it? What do you know about World War I? I mean, people are all over the place. And one thing that really grinds on my nerves is, like, of course, all the Holocaust comes up. Now, you know, I'm not saying this because I'm German. Please, I don't have any complex and neurotic issues that way. But the Holocaust, to compare the Holocaust with what has been done to people of color here and all over the world for centuries, is laughable. It's offensive, in my opinion. If I was black, I'd be offended every single time somebody brought up the Holocaust and trying to say, you know, that the atrocities somehow compare. They do not. They do not. And this point was brought up earlier. The Holocaust, I'm not going to go into the history. I read a lot about it. I know a lot about it. I know people that were in it. I know people that were around it. But it doesn't compare. What was the gain? Marvin brought up that point and threw me into yet another direction. The civil war that took place here was a money battle. And you know, and the possession being battled over were people, and people had gains from it and interests in it. What was the financial gain in the Holocaust? I actually challenge a couple of people to follow that thread, and you'll be so surprised. It had nothing to do with Hitler, had nothing to do with the actual, you know, events. But if I was blessed with melanin, I would be offended every time that comparison was made. I mean, you're talking hundreds of years. You're talking lynchings. You're talking unimaginable horrors that have been afflicted on people of color by white people. And you're going to compare that with 6 years? 6 years of a maniac regime? And again, I challenge you to examine both world wars from a different perspective. What was going on politically and economically at that point in time, and what was incited and what was starting, and that is the only thing that compares. Divide and conquer. And I'm going to leave it right here. Food for thought. Do some research, seriously, and do the research from a different vantage point. Look at it from a different way than what your history books and whatnot tell you to do. Y'all have a great weekend. Bye.
Uli, you are something else, Uli. Damn, I love you. We need more Ulis. We do. God, that's amazing. You know, because when I say it just doesn't have the same effect. The effect with some people, though, like sometimes you need to say, let's not take that in a bad way. Let's just say sometimes things need to be said by different people. You know, take what H.A. Goodman's been going through, and I told him, man, look, dude, man, anybody who thinks that you're a Nazi sympathizer or whatever, man, you ain't going to be able to convince them otherwise. If they don't take your videos, your track record, your articles, hundreds of articles on black issues, all that you've done.
90 seconds.
You and I doing a show every week for over a year, hanging out. If they don't take all of that in consideration, you can't change their opinion, man. Don't argue with them. But it's something like, you know, but what I mean is, like, people make their own minds up. You can't convince them otherwise. If they are dead set on an idea. And some people are dead set on the idea that all this racist stuff that we have is new and that it's getting better.
60 seconds.
Or whatever. And all I'm saying is we got structural problems. I ain't even about people's attitudes, whether they like you or not. We're talking about institutional problems, man. You know, and another thing I wanted to say is that, yeah, so a lot of people, and myself included, I've said that the young men that were marching with the tiki lamps that you all laugh at, those people probably believe what they believe, and most of them are like college students. So you laugh your ass off, and some of your friends are going to work for them. Because they're going to be CEOs or manage departments and be middle management at some shitty corporation or whatever, or maybe start businesses.
10 seconds.
I wonder how many, you know, how even-handed they are with, you know, looking at resumes or how they treat their employees. And that's always been my thing, is that it's not just, you know, you don't minimize the impact of people who have these thoughts. It's a very deep impact. People have power. People in powerful positions have power. We're not just talking to government. A judge has a lot of power. A teacher has an immense amount of power over the future of the children that they teach. Principals have an immense amount of power. Nurses have power. All these people have power in their own way, and they wield it in tiny ways across this country every day. And some of those people think like some of the people in that cave or in that holding those tiki lamps, and some don't. And that's what it's really all about. When you got that, then you got structural policies and systemic racism, which is from not allowing, businesses, not funding businesses, not funding, awarding, I don't know, government grants, or awarding business working with the government, right? If you're a small business, and how they allocate that. And what they could do if we decided, hey, these people, they did something and they started, you know, and we took from them and we kicked them off their land and we marched them up north to the northern states. We put them in these projects. Then we over-policed them and put drugs in it. Maybe we should do something about that. And people go, why should I do something about it? Maybe you don't, but the government should. Government. And then when it really gets down to it, there are people who just don't want to have less stuff. even if that would mean making you a little bit better off where you deserve to be. Not if they have to lose anything. And that's when it all comes out, you know? But thank you, Uli, for breaking it down. I really appreciate it. 704. 704, you're
Hello?
live. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, man, who's this?
This is Bruce.
Bruce, what's going on, man? Talk to me.
Joe, I'm just trying to download everything that's been going on this week. Like, I'm getting, like, overload here, man. I'm starting to feel like Max Headroom, overload. Man, like, with the whole situation that was going on with Charlottesville, the whole situation that's going on with Barcelona right now, freaking Ric Flair's on his last leg, but that's a whole nother story. But, yeah, like, with the whole situation with that crying racist, that's nothing different. Remember what happened with Alex Downer? He cried like a bitch after they arrested him. He was the guy who got caught on the beach cussing out some Muslims or Muslim family with this whole, like, racist epithet. And then when they arrested him, I think, like, 2 days later or whatever, he was, like, had that mugshot with him crying like a little bitch. Like, those are the worst type of racists. They're more like trolls because they know what they're doing is wrong, but they want to get away with it. Now, people like him, those people are horrible people, but they're not as bad as Jeremy Christian, the guy who stabbed those two men who was trying to protect a Muslim girl from him because of his another racial epithet. And then he went into the courtroom and started talking about, like, oh, I did what was right and they deserve to die and all that other crap. That is the people that you need to worry about, because when it comes to that whole manipulation that was brought up earlier, it's on a scale. And a lot of these people, unfortunately, like they mentioned earlier, it happens on both sides, where with the right side, they still fall into this whole range of some sort of pseudo-racial politics where they send these consistent dog whistles. You think people were able to listen to Trump the way they did when it comes to, like, his understanding of quote-unquote culture, when, like, you have a situation where the right has always tried to make it seem in some way that, oh, they're trying to take our country. Because remember, back when Obama was running and people were like, oh, we want our country back. This stuff has been going on for a while. And with the whole situation with Charlottesville, with them not having enough police, I feel like, in a way, it was more of the same situation we come across every single incident where we have police having to enforce law against groups of white people. Like whenever there's, like, a riot with white people, or there's a riot with, you know, college campuses with, like, predominantly white people. You see them usually go around destroying shit, and then when you turn on Fox News, it's like, oh, they're just a bunch of good guys having a good time. What can you do? Meanwhile, when it's black people, they have more freaking gadgets than RoboCop out there trying to stop us. But yet, for some reason, even though that permit was made in advance, for some reason, they didn't have enough cops, or they didn't have enough ability to stop all the stuff that was going on. It's utterly frustrating, because we know, particularly, that on the right, you have that type of, you know, pushing of politics, and then on the left, it's somewhat not as bad. But here's an example. The whole situation that happened with Scalise, where he got shot, when you looked on CNN, what did they say? Every time they brought it up, they mentioned that he was a former Bernie supporter. They didn't mention the fact that for the last 6 months, they kept talking about how Trump was going to destroy the world and bring us back to the 1940s and do all this other stuff. Like, that's not going to rile people up to cause violence. And what you said last week, when you were mentioning about that stop sign, there was a point that really stuck with me. You said that it got to a point where it stopped being about the stop sign and started being more about people's personal feelings towards each other. And that's been the ultimate catalyst for how politics has worked in this country. We have totally forgotten the fact that a lot of people on the left and the right have a lot that they have in common. We both want good jobs. We both want the ability to take care of our families and not have to work ourselves half to death. We want to be able to have good health care. We want to have a lot of things. But you have individuals on both the left and the right who are willing to go pretty much above and beyond and make you basically feel like the person that you're debating against for these policies, for these rights, are worse people because, you know, they have this feeling, so they must feel this type of way, or there must be this type of way, or they must have this type of agenda. And then it stops becoming about the policies, and it starts becoming more about how I personally feel about the left or the right, which is basically when people start shutting down and stop talking to each other, which is the most frustrating thing of all. So I feel like it is on a multiple level. And let's keep this in mind, too. This week, they've had the military come out and say they don't condone a lot of this stuff that's been going on, because if you look on the news, a lot of those people that were on the racist Nazi side, they had their own personal security. They had a bunch of vets, retired vets, who were there standing there with armor and guns protecting them. And the thing that frustrates me is that these generals will come up there and say, we don't support that. But yet your recruiting processes are horrific. They're about as bad as the police. Let's not forget, Timothy McVeigh was a vet. So trust me, the recruiting processes has not gotten that much better. They don't care. It's just the fact that now that they have a lot of these people who are former vets, now they got to put their faces out there to say, oh, that's not our fault. Yeah, it is. And let's keep in mind that a lot of these people that are in those, there was no type of groups, those racist groups, a lot of those guys end up becoming cops.
Wow.
So it's a lot. It's on so many levels, Tim. I'm going to head out here. I'm about to go get a pizza, but I just had to get that off my chest, man.
Hey, man, thank you, Bruce, for the call, man. It's good to hear from you. I love it, man. I appreciate it. Bruce said, he said if it would have been Baltimore or Ferguson, you would have thought you was in a Transformers movie. Those police would have been so decked out with equipment. The hell am I? What's going on? Fight to the end. You know, they would have been ready for these guys. Let it have been like a couple of teams of couple of black football teams out there. Well, they would have came strapped, boy. What is it? What kind of, you know, those tanks they have, those armored vehicles? Been like 20 of them. Helicopters everywhere. Been like out of scene of the Planet of the Apes, man. It would have been more than what we got. You wouldn't have got a bunch of guys talking about, we're afraid of these guys with these bats. This is scary. Gotta get out of here. Gotta back up. And I know some of the white nationalists had guns, but I'm saying, come on, man. See, America goes easy on the Nazism. They go easy on the white nationalists. They just do. They just do. They put up, look, America puts up with, you know, these guys. They talk about they're going to live off the land and, you know, screw the government, you know. And America's like, you know, like America's this huge giant with all this power. Look at this little guy talk all this stuff. Yeah, I'll get you, America. You don't tell me what to do. And America's like, all right, little guy, you know, it's okay. Did you get something to eat? Did you get yourself something to eat, little guy? Go get yourself something to eat. You know, now you don't mean that. You're so spunky, you know? Because in reality, if they really wanted to get rid of it, it'd be gone. I mean, seriously, it'd be gone. There would be none of that if they wanted them gone. All that unpacking and gun, all that shit he was doing, you know, all that. Dude, if they really wanted Chris Cantwell and all of the neo-Nazis that showed up at Charlottesville to you know, to leave or get rid of them, they'd just done it. Quick. Easy. You wouldn't even need no, what is it? shock and awe campaign. You just need you're not even a shock, just no awe needed, just a little blip, you know, little pluck, and it's just been over. It's over. You go hide in your little bunker and you'll die in that bunker. 510, thank you for holding on. You're live. How you doing?
Hi, Tim. How are you? This is Vita from San Leandro.
Hey, Vita, what's up?
And I just want to thank Eula for her great information that she provided to all of us that we all need to take heed to, because when we look at policy, that's one thing that we forget to do as politically astute people that are involved, that want to learn about politics, participate, and seek out information. We don't do a very good job of understanding what exactly is happening. If you just look at the history of America and you match it up with the bills and during the different time frames, because that same city where it happened in Charlotte was a black town right after Reconstruction, and that's when they still didn't have rights. They were free, but they didn't have the same assets underneath the Constitution. But they managed to have businesses. But what happened is that white people, lawmakers and citizens and business people, capitalists, they decided that they did not want them to succeed. And it happens over and over. And when they stand on their own 2 feet, they always say that we're lazy, we don't want to work, we're looking for handouts. When these businesses were there, they kicked them out, they created new laws that take their land and their property, and then most of them have to be scattered up, breaks up the family, scatter them from different cities and states, and then it's just a repeat of over and over. But if you just go back in history and look at what Charlotte was during that time, you would see that there were families there and business there, but laws were created by lawmakers, American U.S. citizens, to harm certain groups. And that particular group has always been Black Americans. But when we speak about that, it's like, okay, you're playing identity politics. That happened a long time ago. Get over it. But if you look at how wealth is built in economics, when you have a 400-some plus advantage over, you're not starting at the starting line together underneath the same rules and policy. That is separated, and you're left out of what is supposed to be for everybody. And people, those same people that was protesting, those guys, people were laughing about, oh, they're just crazy, they got mental health. Those are people who are actually in job positions when people are going to get hired. And they might be in human resource. Those people that we forget about and say, oh, no, people are not like that. Yes, they are. You just don't want to accept that there are people that are just like that, or really that's how they feel and that's how their belief is. And we need to accept that. And everybody says, well, Black people, you're playing this identity. We're all in together. We all love each other. Let's have peace. You can't have peace. There's no such thing as peace when people have been harmed and you have not acknowledged that or done anything about that, but just that more laws and policies, not even going back to correct it, not even having a conversation about really what's on the books. Just take an hour out your day or a week and go look at some of the policies that was affected in different cities that still are affected on the book today. We can look at even recently with the mortgage thing. Who were harmed the most? And who was blamed, put up in the face of the media? The Black people. They didn't know how to read about mortgages. They didn't have money. They were just, it was a targeted action. And we can look at that. We can look at even how our voting rights are done now currently. We can look at, there's so many examples of today that's going on. That's a reflection of the past. History is so monumental and understanding knowledge and who you are and what we are. If you don't have a sense because we also have a problem in the education system. We have books in our schools that are repeating the same type of behavior that's putting out people like these guys that were probably protesting, because they were taught a false history. They were taught that these people were nothing. They were just slavery wasn't nothing. It's just something that happened. They wanted to be enslaved. You can go on right now some of your representatives' website in Congress and see what their page is, what they start off with. They start off and say that the United States was built on immigrants. That is false, because all of us were not immigrants. We were not all immigrants. There was slavery. That's not an immigrant. We didn't ask to come here. We don't have the connection. Our names were changed. We don't even know our true names. We don't have our real language. That was stripped. That is purposely done. That's harmful. How would you like to be stripped of your language, your don't even know your last name, your family, who's your kin? You don't even have a homeland to go back to family. Most of us, we have been here like I can go back 3 generations in my own family in Texas, from Texas, of slavery, when my great grandmother was a slave. That's only like 3 generations, and we only been some of the last 50 years. 50 years. And I wish what people understand when they speak. And then to compare, I want to go to the Holocaust. The Holocaust happened on a foreign land. And it happened less than 10 years, which was wrong and hurtful for anybody to do that to any human being. But the fact that we take funds, our taxpayer money, and contribute to that today to help those that group of people for reparations, to give them reparations, and don't even acknowledge the reparations in the United States owed to black people who built this nation on our back for free labor for hundreds and hundreds of years. And still, that is something that is not talked about, always ignored. You're looking for something free. Our family, we didn't have nothing to do with it. We have those Goldman and Sachs on Wall Street. That was how Wall Street, Goldman Sachs got started, because African black people were a freaking product. We were bought and sold on Wall Street. That was capitalism. We were the product. Do your economics. And it kills me. And the MIT stuff that they talk about, let's have a guaranteed income for everybody. Who will be enforcing that? Who would be the people in these different agencies determining which people get what income? How would that work? That is so far-fetched for me. That's so hard, I think, to do. It's nice to talk about a guaranteed income. How would they determine that? That's all I have to say, Tim. I thank you very much. And I thank the people out there for all the good information and the ability to have different viewpoints and talk. Thank you.
Absolutely right. Thank you, Vita, so much, sis. I appreciate you. Gracious, Vita went to town, man. I'll tell you, man, that's what I love, man. I realized what the issue was with the phone lines the other day. I love opening phone lines because, man, I get great calls. And as you were talking, Vita, I was listening so close, but then I started thinking about how people justify certain things. It's like, why would they? Because I kept thinking, why would people not want to listen to Vita tell the truth? Because it's uncomfortable. Hey, ain't no rocket science, Tim. You figured that one out, Tim Black. Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but it's just the truth, man. Like, the truth is truth. And that's what we're about here. And, you can't dance around these issues. Your legs are going to get tired if you're going to dance around every time a racist issue or racial issue comes up. Because it's going to keep coming up, because it's an issue that's never been, it's never going to be, it's never going to be addressed. Vita's right. Like, we're going to send this money over there, help these people that in this country, this happened to them. What about the people that you did stuff to in your own country? Well, now you're talking about handouts. It's like, in a person, like, I think there's some good people out there and who just like, maybe they figured it out, Vita, but it's like, God, man, what does this say? It's like finding out your best friend is, you know, some horrible thing. It's like, God, nah, man, like that couldn't be you. You know, like you never had a friend to do something that was like really that's totally make you totally lose respect for them as a human being. Like you just can't believe that. It's like, where do you go from here? Like this is over. Because you did something so horrible. It's like, sorry ain't enough. And I think when we start to peel back the layers of the oppression, the length of time, people who were born in this situation with no hope of redemption, no hope of ever working out of it. That's what always makes me like, I can't believe these people compare chattel slavery to something else. Dude, people were born slaves with no hope of it. You know, like, it's not indentured servitude, dude, where you pay off something. You are born a slave and you will do nothing else but be a slave your whole life. And your kids, that's their only hope. And they had fused into these people's minds with, and also into their bodies with whips and chains or whatever manner of tortures, that look, if your only goal is to serve me, I'm your master, and God made it that way, fool. It's what God wanted. Your job is to serve me. And these people in this country made it that way for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years. So like that's like somebody hearing that who you know goes to school, you know, whatever. And then they hear that, it's like hearing some, you know, like constantly. It's like, oh God, I gotta get away from that. That's a horrible. These people did that, and these people are supposed to be respected. These people are heroes of the country. And then we just be fooled around with Reconstruction and Jim Crow and sun-up laws and sundown laws, and certain states didn't allow blacks, and then you know, civil rights movement, and we're not even talking about that long ago. And there are people who just they got the sanitized view of the world by watching television. You know, they see Jay-Z, they see 50 Cent, they see Beyonce. It ain't that bad, you know. It's good. I saw a Spike Lee movie once. He had a little chip on his shoulder, but he was okay. You know, black people doing all right. And they don't see like there's mountains of black people struggling, like 40% of black people like struggling hard as hell in this country still. And they don't show that on TV. So when these situations come up, you got to address it, you know, and keep it moving, but stay in the pocket, like, because that's part of being woke. I thought that's part of being woke. Some people think being woke is just knowing that the CIA lies about stuff or that we bomb countries for a reason beyond power. They think that's all woke is. They don't think being woke has anything to do with social issues. In fact, they think those are distractions from other issues. Yeah, they think that when we talk about 40% of the poverty rate for children, black children, that's a distraction from something else. And I start looking at that like, wow, man, do we have the same goals? You know, like, I want everybody to be able to get health care. I want everyone to be able to get these things, but there's some other issues too. So let's all fight for that. And I see some people just like, you know, there's a lot of great issues. There's a lot going on, but this is one issue. This issue of how we treat each other and what this country is about. And if you don't get to the point where you understand that this was government, that's the real point. That's always been my point whenever I get on these subjects. I want people to know I'm talking about the U.S. government, y'all. You deciding to do something, you can be a horrible person. One horrible person can only do so much. The government had policies in place to achieve the desired results of lowering these people and using them to build this country and then treating them like shit afterwards perpetually. That wasn't done by one pissed off white dude with a lot of guns in a hotel room in Kentucky. That was done by the government. The same government that print money for everything, who send money over here, who sent what to do with the Saudis. Like, come on, dog. Come on. This is government problems. So, and they created this problem. They did this. This was intentional to build a country. And to keep the country going now, and they're still doing it. In private prisons. So, like, be woke to all of it. And if you're not woke to all of it, you say, I just can't deal with it, man, because I swear, I think it was Bruce said, man, my head is, but he said, Max Headroom, my head about to explode, like Max Headroom. If you get that way, at least say, you know what? I don't have enough bandwidth to deal with this at the moment. I should. I'm going to come back to it. What I'm not going to do is minimize it and deprioritize it by acting as if it's not important because only this is. You know? And that's, you know, I have a problem with that. But anyway, I hope that people wake up to that. I want to thank everybody that called into the show tonight. You guys are great. Tomorrow is Freedom Friday. That's the real night you just call up, and you ain't even got to be on script or nothing, you know. That's why Stephanie's so cool. She's like, you know, what are we talking about tonight? I don't want to just go in another direction. But on Friday, there really is no direction for Freedom Friday. I will do the same thing. I'll open with a couple of stories, but after that, I mean, whatever issue, whatever thing that happened this week, that's where we kind of all get caught up on what happened during the week, and we get all these different people chiming in on world events and, you know, whatever. So I think it's great. And I hope to see you here. Remember, this show is brought to you by TimBlackTV.com. It's owned and operated by a small businessman, black man named me. And I appreciate the hell out of you. And it's great that we're working together. And, you know, and stop by my website, and we're hoping to make it better. And shout out to Nico House, who's going through a lot right now, as am I. And we're going to be all right. But thank you for all the kind words, man, and all my supporters, man. You guys are amazing. Like, I take nothing for granted. I'm just going to keep working my ass off and try to make you proud and try to be able to look in the mirror and feel all right, you know? So I appreciate y'all, man. I'll see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Momo Pineno's got a couple. We've been working on a couple new designs. They're not fancy, but they really speak to the truth. They cut through. And I will be unveiling them tomorrow on the show. So please be here tomorrow. I'll do my best to be closer to being on time at 9 p.m. Shout out to Man Oz. I see you out there. Jennifer Vickers on Facebook. Thank you, sis. I know you try to hold it down on Facebook. I appreciate you. My people on Periscope, thank you so much for tuning in. And with that, folks, like I always say,
look, man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
Don't fall for no banana in the tailpipe. And you know what?
Nobody take no cornbread from me.
Don't nobody take no cornbread from me. I'm Tim Black, TimBlackTV.com. I'm out. Yeah.
Tim Black. Tim Black. Tim Black. Yes, I am.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Funny. Tim Black. I am TimBlack.com. Tim Black.
So say good night to the black guy. Come on. The last time you're gonna see a